Scheer says the Conservatives are calling on the government to lift the production cap on Canadian oil and gas and lift the ban on oil tankers off the West Coast. Joining me now is political analyst Michael Gagan. Michael, thanks for being here. Carney reportedly tabling this idea of reviving Keystone XL with Trump during their meeting. What's your read on why he could have brought that up?
Well, he brought it up for a couple of reasons. The first being is that he has a problem in that Alberta cannot get its oil and gas to market, and the recent comments by the Premier of British Columbia have made the prospect of anything changing in the near future kind of remote. So he wants to be seen as, look, I'm gonna help you get your oil and gas to market through the Keystone XL. The problem is the original proponents of that pipeline, they've said publicly, we've walked away from that project. We've moved on because, of course, it was canceled by Obama, revived by Trump in his first term, and then canceled again by Biden. So they've moved on. So that leaves Carney with, it's a card, but I mean, we're not talking about a high value card. We're talking about a card that doesn't lessen our dependence on the United States. And meanwhile, we have places like Taiwan begging Canada to increase oil and gas shipments to their island because of the way they're being pressured by China. We had Japan and Germany and other countries when Justin Trudeau was Prime Minister begging for our oil and gas. And then there's the fact that if we produce more oil and gas, we'll displace coal burning, which will actually reduce CO2 emissions globally overall. So, it's one of those things where real leadership is needed in order to solve this problem. Otherwise, we're going to end up with an impoverished and perhaps broken up nation.
Donald Trump has expressed support for this pipeline. What do you think of its use as a sort of bargaining chip towards getting some sort of sectoral tariff relief on steel and aluminum?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a situation where if the original proponent is no longer interested in putting it forward, how are you going to do that? Are you going to do that with taxpayers' dollars, some kind of private-public partnership? But obviously, what you're also doing here is you're saying, hey, we'll continue to sell oil and gas at a reduced rate, a discounted rate to the United States. That'll help your economy. Can you please cut us some slack on steel and aluminum? So from that perspective, it's a good play, and also in trying to lessen the pressures towards separation that are growing in Alberta. So it's a smart move by the Prime Minister. The problem is I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, and so it's one of those things where clearly we have to do something. We've got a stagnating economy. We're going to have to do something to get the economy going forward, and certainly increased oil and gas exports is one way to do it.
Is it politically risky for Carney to bring this up, given climate commitments, Indigenous opposition, and shifting energy markets?
Well, there are some First Nations that are on board with increased oil and gas production, and then there's the fact that if Canadian oil and gas is displacing Chinese and German coal being burned, then overall we've reduced CO2 emissions and other pollutants into the atmosphere. So we can make a solid argument there. And you're not building a pipeline across Quebec, because Quebec, although it's happy to take the money from Alberta, it doesn't want to take or transport the oil across its territory. So, it's probably the least risky of all the possible options, which allow him to say to the Premier of Alberta, look, I'm trying to do something to help you get your product to market.
All right, that is our time. Michael, thank you very much. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you for having me.
That is political analyst Michael Gagan.